Welcome to US Immigration TV. Well, on February 18, 2021, President Biden and the Democrats formally introduced the US Citizenship Act of 2021. Well, it's a massive bill, over 350 pages long, covering a wide variety of immigration issues and reforms, including a pathway to U.S. citizenship for the approximate 11 million undocumented non-citizens in the U.S. In this video, obviously, I'm not going to go through the entire bill, but I will discuss some of the more important highlights that may apply to you or maybe to somebody you know. So don't forget to share this video and subscribe, as there will be further developments as this bill makes its way through the House and eventually the Senate, and then to be signed by the President. First, I want to be clear that the U.S. Citizenship Act is only a proposal. It is not yet a law. There is nothing for anyone to file or apply for at the present time. And President Biden has already stated he is not going to be insisting that the entire proposal become law. In fact, he stated he would sign an immigration bill that would not include a pathway for citizenship because, as he said at a recent town hall hosted by CNN, there's a whole range of things that could be done. Now, in other words, he might be willing to consider several separate bills dealing with different issues or topics rather than just one big bill. And we will keep you informed on any developments on the progress of this bill or any separate individual bill. Now, turning to the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, the key sections of the bill include: number one, an earned path to citizenship and other reforms. Number two, addressing the root causes of migration and responsible managing of the southern border. Number three, reform of the immigrant visa system. Number four, immigration courts, family values, and vulnerable individuals. Number five, employment authorization and protecting workers from exploitation. Now, here are key highlights of the bill that will be of interest to many of you. Removal of the word alien. Now, this bill removes the term alien from immigration law, and from now on, people who are not U.S. citizens or nationals will be referred to as non-citizens. So no more will people who are out of status be referred to as illegal aliens, but instead non-citizens. An earned pathway to U.S. citizenship. Now, one of the most important aspects of this bill is the earned path to citizenship, and it applies to non-citizens who have been in the U.S. continuously from January 1st, 2021 until the date their application is approved. Now, certain non-citizens who were deported on or after January 20, 2017 may also be eligible if they had been in the U.S. for at least 3 years before being deported or removed. Obviously, people will need to submit documents and other evidence demonstrating their date of entry and their continuous presence. In fact, I've already done a video about preparing for Biden's amnesty, which offers tips and guidelines with respect to the type of documents and evidence you may need. And this bill itself also has a list of the type of documents that would be acceptable. With respect to this pathway to U.S. citizenship, a person will first be classified as a lawful prospective immigrant for 6 years, which can be extended. And the person would need to pass, of course, criminal background checks and would receive employment authorization and an SS number, an SS card, as well as permission to travel outside the U.S. on advance parole. And they could be eligible for health coverage. After a person has been a lawful prospective immigrant for 5 years, the person can submit an application to adjust status to that of a lawful permanent resident. So it seems the way that this program goes is similar to the way that green card holders apply for naturalization. Just as a green card holder has to maintain that status for at least 5 years in order to apply for naturalization, here the person is in prospective immigrant status for 5 years before they can apply to be a full immigrant or full permanent resident. DACA legalization and expansion of age requirement. Well, the US Citizenship Act also calls for the legalization or immediate green cards for DACA recipients and other people who entered the US before their 18th birthday. Right now, DACA requires the person to have entered the US before their 16th birthday. Now, this means there might be more people who could be eligible or qualify for this legalization as dreamers. Legalization of agricultural workers. There's also a provision for the legalization of agricultural workers who have demonstrated that they have performed agricultural labor or services for at least 2,300 hours in the 5 years before their application. Now, this program seems similar to a program back in the 80s called Special Agricultural Worker or SAW. So they're looking to give agricultural workers a way to legalize. Hope for people with expunged criminal records. Well, this bill also provides hope for people who've been previously convicted of certain crimes. Well, right now, certain crimes could be a barrier to their being legalized, even if the conviction was expunged. That's because under current law, an expungement has no effect on the conviction. This bill provides that a conviction would not include an adjudication or judgment of guilt that has been dismissed, expunged, deferred, annulled, invalidated, withheld, or vacated. Therefore, a person who had a conviction expunged, while it's still held against you today, if this bill passes, and depending on the type of crime, there could still be hope for you, because from then on, an expunged conviction may not be held against you, whereas today it is. Reclassification for families of immigrants as immediate relatives. Well, this bill also reclassifies spouses and minor children of green card holders as immediate relatives, which is the same as spouses and children of US citizens. Well, under current law, spouses and minor children are classified as F2A. But if they're considered immediate relatives, one of the advantages is that if they have, let's say, overstayed and are out of status, they'd be able to get their green card in the US versus having to depart the US and apply abroad, which is presently the case for spouses and children of green card holders. Another highlight of this bill is the repeal of the 3- and 10-year bar. Well, the 3- and the 10-year bar is that if a person has been out of status in the US for more than 6 months and departs the US, they could be banned from returning for either 3 or 10 years. So therefore, if a person is not eligible to adjust status in the US, for example, they came as a visitor, overstayed, and they're out of status and they don't have the benefit of Section 245I. Or maybe they entered as a crewman or a K-1 fiancé and did not marry the American who petitioned them. Right now, they have to depart the US. Well, now they could travel abroad for their immigrant visa without worrying about triggering the 3- or the 10-year bar or having to apply for the provisional waiver. Here's an interesting one for children of Filipino World War II veterans. There is a section in this bill called the Filipino Veterans Family Reunification Act, which provides that adult children of Filipino World War II veterans, whether they are single or married, meaning F1 or F3, are not subject to direct numerical limitations on visas. Well, right now, these adult children, whether married or single, there could be either a 10 or 20-year wait for them because they're subject to those numerical limitations or annual allotments of visas. So this law may make them eligible to go to the front of the line. There are many more provisions in this bill that I did not discuss now, but I highlighted and discussed in a previous video when the White House first put out a fact sheet, and I invite you to watch that video for more details and information. As I stated in the beginning, this is only a proposal, and Biden is expecting pushback from the Republicans, and it's likely there are going to be lots of negotiations, amendments, and changes. It is not yet law, and there's nothing to apply for yet, but there will obviously be developments in the coming weeks. So make sure to subscribe to this channel, as I will continue to keep you updated on the latest developments of this proposal, as well as other areas of immigration law, which you might find helpful for either yourself, your family members, your friends, or other people that you know. I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and this is US Immigration TV.